All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is joining me right here, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, who is the National Commissioner and the Chief Executive Officer at the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau. That's a new bureau that was created exactly 1 year ago by the federal government. Dr. Olatunji, good to have you on the show. Welcome. If I had a... Okay, I can clap. Welcome.
Well, and I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, welcome,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
Now let's get started. I know quite a whole lot happening this week, your Privacy Week. I think the theme is Think Privacy, if I'm not mistaken. 1 year in office. You were in NICTDA. In fact, you were the acting DG, I think,
At the
time.
2016.
Then 2016, then Professor Pantami and all of that. So just give me a brief of what has happened in the last 1 year and why you think the federal government went ahead to create a data protection bureau. Why the federal government thought it wise to do that. And do you really think that Nigerians even understand what your bureau is meant to do?
Thank you very much. Let me start by commending you for what you've been doing for years. As I said, I've been following your show for almost 10 years now. And
you're making me feel like an old
woman. I'm really happy with what you are doing, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank
now,
you.
when you introduced this segment, you mentioned that there is now the certification of global economies, which is about speaking to global digital economy, that we do almost everything online. The way you work, the way you live, the way you socialize, your sports, everything. There are some homes that are even fully automated and that you don't even need to do it. All you do is command. All these things are about personal data. For instance, if you're going online, you use some applications, you need to be identified before such application can obey your commands to say, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that. All you are talking about is the whole world that's going digital. It's all about identity. That is, for you to be identified online when you do one thing or the other, when you interact or when you transact businesses online. You need your unique identity, which is you. And for instance, in the real life, your name, your telephone number, your bank account number, your home address, your email address, all these are your personal data. There are some that we refer to as sensitive data. For instance, your health information, your labor union lineage, your religious belief, your sexual orientation, all these are sensitive data. So for you to be an active player in this global digital economy, there needs for you to be properly identified. And when you share this identity every minute, there is need for you to be protected, to say that, okay, whatever I'm doing online, whatever information I'm sharing online, it's protected. And that's why we have data controllers and data processors. That is, any organization that collects, processes, shares, stores your data hold you that duty of care to ensure that such data with them is adequately protected. They need to put in place a lot of measures to ensure.
So agencies like road safety,
yes,
VIO,
yes,
immigration,
banks,
telcos,
yes, government ministries and parastatals, all of them who are major data controllers, they are to ensure that they put in place measures to protect your data. Now, globally, a lot of issues have come up in the issue of protecting identity. In fact, as far back as the UN Declaration of 1948, the issue of the need for data privacy was clearly stated there. And the FOI, the US FOI bill, it was also stated. Then Africa, the Malabo Convention of 2014, clearly stated that all member states, the 52 African states, must ensure that they have their data protection laws and have their data supervisory authorities that will supervise and ensure proper implementation of such law. Even at the level of ECOWAS, as far back as 2010, there was this ECOWAS declaration that member states should have their laws and also ensure that they have their supervisory authorities. So in Nigeria, there will be pockets of initiatives here and there in several acts of parliament. For instance, in NIDA Act of 2007, NIPSI Act of 2007, Freedom of Information Act, NCC Act, a lot of acts here and there, Cybercrime of 2015, that were speaking directly to issue of data privacy and protection. Then, but in 2019, which was a major background and the turning point for data privacy and protection in Nigeria, there was a regulation issued, as you said that I was in NIDA before. A regulation was issued when the current minister, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, was CDDG of NIDA, specifically on the 25th of January 2019. There were 5 regulations that were issued then, but the one that is really driving almost everything now is that one of data protection, that is Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, which was issued in 2019. Well, the foundation of that is even in our constitution. 1999 constitution was amended, especially section 37, detailing about how your personal data, your names, your telephone numbers, your home addresses should be, and even your telegraphic information should be protected. And looking at that, and looking at what is happening globally, that is where you have your laws, you have an independent supervisory authority to ensure adequate implementation of such laws. That was why the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau was established on the 4th of February 2019, based on the recommendation of the minister to Mr. President that when you have your law, you should have a supervisory authority. Now, the mandate is mainly to ensure full implementation of Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, which was issued in 2019. Also, we are to ensure that we coordinate the passage of a principal law, because yes, this is a regulation issued under the Act of 2007. Now we are working towards having the principal law in the country. It has passed several levels of authorization, and about 2 weeks ago, the Federal Assembly Council actually approved it. So it's going to National Assembly as an executive
I was coming to that, because I know that FEC approved it a few days ago.
Yes.
Are you optimistic that the bill will be an act before the end of this administration?
Highly optimistic, because what we did when we were putting in place structures for the passage of the act was to ensure that we bring in major stakeholders, people from the private sector, from government, from National Assembly. They have usually sent somebody to represent them on the committee. And we've done 2 capacity building programs for members of the ICT and Cybersecurity Committee of the National Assembly, just for them to really understand what we are talking about when we are talking about having a data privacy law. And in 2019, 2020, there was an attempt. A law was actually passed on data protection in Nigeria by the National Assembly. So they are aware of this, but because of some challenges and the input of some stakeholders, it was not passed by Mr. President, but now it's going as an executive bill. But part of what we have been doing, part of the bill, we've embarked on awareness creation. You mentioned that if Nigerians are aware of the issue of data privacy and protection, when we started, we saw that the level of understanding, the level of awareness of the issue, around the issue of data privacy and protection was very low in Nigeria. So we embarked on massive awareness campaign, especially in the public sector. We visited over 50 ministries, departments, and agencies, starting with the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, NIMSI, in charge of identity, National Orientation Agency, Nigeria Television Authority, and so many others, just to ensure that we preach the gospel of data privacy and protection in the public sector, because the compliance level in the private sector is still better than what we have in the public sector, because the banks, the telcos,
what were the issues you saw with data protection and privacy with the public sector that the private sector is a bit better than them?
Because when we say private sector is owned by the private organization, private people. Public sector is mainly government. A lot of people, they see government business, let's just do it. And if you don't comply with any law, nothing will happen. But now, there's a structure in place that if you don't comply, if nothing will happen, we can't tell government to pay fine, but the CEO can be prosecuted. But the private sector,
Like
they understand
the CEO
of such government organizations. Yes.
Okay.
But in the private sector, they know that if there's any breach and we investigate, we find them, in terms of reputation of the company, in terms of cost of remediation, in terms of perception, all these are really important, and the cost is really huge to private sector organizations. So as much as possible, they understand is they want to guard against anything that will lead to a kind of embarrassment for them. For instance, some organizations that we're investigating now, they are really ready. In fact, they've complied reasonably well.
Because you're investigating some banks.
Yeah, already. Yes, we're investigating some people. So when we receive complaints from data subjects, what we do is to first invite them, write to them, to tell them we have discovered, we received the report from some of the data subjects, explain to us how this and this and this happened. When they explain to us, we now invite them for a conference action. We invite them to discuss the issues around the breaches that have been discovered before we now take any action. So in the public sector, a lot of them don't see it as something that will have direct impact on them. If they are fined, if there's anything against them, they see it's a government thing. So, and in terms of major data controllers, we have so many of them in government. You just mentioned road safety, immigration, customs, ministries, departments, and agencies who collect and process a whole lot of information, a whole lot of data. So we believe that we must start with them. We must really engage them, let them understand the importance of it. And in terms of audit filing, it has really increased down from what it was before. It was really low before, but because of the awareness that we are creating, it has increased. And we're also building capacity. We have trained a lot of them. In fact, just part of this privacy week, about 3 days ago, we had about 300 MDAs represented at a training program on data privacy and protection, where we selected from different ministries, and it's going to be a continuous thing for those in the public sector to really appreciate what it means to say data privacy and protection and what they need to put in place to ensure proper protection of the data of Nigerians with them.
What's coming to my mind is that how can an average Nigerian that is watching us right now relate with what you're saying in terms of privacy practices? Yeah. This week is the privacy week. Think privacy is the theme. So how would you tell Nigerians to think privacy first? What does that really mean? Yes. So an average Nigerian, perhaps that even has a phone, you know, there are some apps or there are some things you want to do. Yeah. It is okay, can I have access to your location? Yes. Can I have access to your contacts? Yeah. And all of that. So in simple terms, can you just explain what that means?
What I just said to Nigerians is that you are a data subject to your data controller. That is, you as an individual, you have your bank, you have your telco, you have where you work, you are a data subject to this organization.
You're a commodity.
You are a commodity. And when they collect your data, your name, your telephone number, your other, all these things that you share with them, they owe you that duty to ensure that it is protected. Now, you may say, I've been sharing my data all this way, nothing happened. But let me give you an instance. One of the cases that we're investigating, there was this guy that from his bank to NIMSI, the kind of information they supplied about him was they identified him as a female, a guy for that matter. They identified him as a female. So when the card came out, it's clear that now he cannot do driver license, he cannot do passport, he cannot even travel. Because if the card you are carrying shows that you are female, now you are male, you are parent, something is wrong. So that has deprived me of a lot of services and a lot of opportunities. That is the impact. Which ordinarily, if that deal happened to you, I'll be giving up my data, it doesn't really matter. So this is a major issue. Or somebody that you have money in your bank, there's a breach and led to loss of funds. It's affecting you personally.
Like what we're having right now across some banks.
Yes, it's affecting you personally. Or somebody that goes for maybe health service providers, maybe hospital or whatever. Now, it actually happened to somebody. I think a female, the diagnosis that came out was that she had prostate cancer.
A female cannot have a prostate cancer.
Well, it happened. Yeah. These are all about identity management, data management, which we call breaches. So these are the implications to data subjects for the average Nigerian who may not know. And that is why it is really important that when you are sharing your information, they need to let you know why they are collecting that information. Okay, we are collecting this information for this purpose, and for that purpose. And you don't need to collect, to give out more than the required information that you think will be enough for them to offer you that service. Because that is where the issue of data minimization comes in. There is a limit to the level of data that you collect from you. That you don't share your information anyhow to people, you just give it out. You don't know what will happen.
So in case I share, how do I know that I'm adequately protected?
Because during the process of sharing, for instance, if you are going online and they ask you, click to accept these conditions, this policy for you to enjoy a service. The onus is on you to read thoroughly and understand this statement, which we refer to as their privacy policy. That is that organization's privacy policy. They will tell you who they are, we are this organization, we are organization A, B, C. We do A, B, C, D. We are here to do this for you. Now, in the process of doing this for you, we collect your name, your date of birth, your DDDDD, and this is what we use this data for, that we collect. This is how we store this data. If they are sharing with a third party, like another organization, will tell you, we are going to share this information with another organization.
Which some do,
which
for
some
commercial
do.
purposes.
Yes, but they must let you know.
No.
If they don't let you know, it's a breach.
Okay. Now, my question, the next question is going to be a tricky question.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this. How does your job liaise with that of the FCCPC? I don't know if anyone has asked you that.
Yeah.
You know, because
yeah.
the FCCPC, that's the federal, it's too long. The Consumer
Protection
Agency,
Commission,
yes. Let me just put it
Corporate
down.
and Consumer
Yes, it's too
Protection
long.
Commission, yes.
You know, it was formerly CPC, Consumer Protection
yes.
Council. Now you're seeing that Irukera, whom I've also interviewed here a few times, is also breathing hard on, like, for example, digital money lenders, all these fintechs, for the data breaches and all of that. Isn't your agency and his almost, you know, what's the difference? Do you understand? Because there's this thing about, okay, federal government agencies, they always,
FCCPC is about consumers' right.
Yes. Mainly. They can go and report too. People coming to report to you are reporting to him.
I need this service. You don't serve me right. You don't give me what I'm supposed to. That is consumers' right. And one is about your identity in the process of requesting for that service. And the good thing about it is that part of among the organization that we visited, where we started, we visited FCCPC. We now have an existing MOU with FCCPC to look at cases. In fact, they refer some cases to us. Oh, we've received this complaint from some data subject, but we believe it has to do with identity. Please treat. Some, maybe in the course of obtaining some licenses or permission from them, they refer them to us to get clearance, to ensure that their privacy policy, the structure, the measure they put in place are in order in terms of data privacy and protection. We give them the guide and so we have an existing working relationship. Now, coming to the issue of money lenders, it covers a lot of government organizations. For instance, in terms of monitoring policies or issues, it's CBN. I did as one that we issue licensing for money-related financial sector. In terms of economic crime, you bring in FCC, ICPC. In terms of the technology they are using, you bring in NITDA. In terms of the platform they are using, you bring in NCC. In terms of consumers' rights, FCC. Now, in terms of data privacy and protection, you bring us in, and you bring the Nigeria police. Now, what we have done with that is to have a national committee comprising of all these federal government organizations. Because at the time, it became a serious problem in Nigeria that people were even dying. Some people were committing suicide, some developed high blood pressure, some a lot of issues. Because if they give you some loan, if you don't pay up as quickly as possible, they start sending messages to your contacts, you are this, you are that. So we came together, we now looked at it from all these perspectives. We now say, okay, let's look at the issue of regulation, regulatory perspective. That is, what kind of regulations can we put in place to ensure that all of us that are involved in all these areas are covered, and we know what we are supposed to do, what we are looking for, when we are working with them. The other part is the area of technology. What kind of technology are they deploying, through what platforms, what are the rules, what are the laws guiding these technologies that will allow them to have access to people's contacts on their phones. All these things are what we are doing together. So there are going to be two policies that will come out of this work that we are doing at that joint committee level. One on regulations, the other one on technologies.
Do we have a timeline to this policy?
Not really. We have several. So it's still work in progress. But one major thing that we did early last year in March, specifically, all of us through a joint operation, we carried a raid on one of the lead money lender, who they have other subsidiaries. We went to their office in Ikeja, some people from our office, from FC, from other. But when we got there, we discovered that we have hundreds of Nigerians working under these people. Now, if you want to go all out to attack them, some people will lose jobs. They'll say, oh, we don't have jobs. Yeah, these government people, they are sending out of jobs. At the same time, some people are there because of the activities of this money, and a lot of them are faceless. You can't really put a face. They keep moving their addresses and everything. But we are working solely to ensure that we address that.
Okay. How many licensed data protection organizations do you have now that carry out compliance?
Yeah, when we started under NIDA, we actually started with 17. We increased to 27. We increased to 50 to 70. At the time we left NIDA, we were doing 103. Then when we started as the Bureau, we had to evaluate the activity of these DPCOs in terms of their competence, in terms of the standard of the service they are offering to data controller and data processor. In terms of the annual returns to us, we did a thorough evaluation. We identified about 19 of them that are not really performing up to the level that we expected. So we revoked their licenses. About 2 of them came back, they reapplied and they came back and they are put in place. So eventually we revoked 17 licenses, but we now added 48 more. So as we speak, we have 138 licensed data protection compliance organizations. They offer compliance as a service because, like I said, compliance is complex. You have to take them through a lot of parameters, about 67 divided into 4. The area of governance is there. The area of the data protection officers is there. The area of the data processing activity is there. The area of the kind of the documentation they have, the area of data processing.
Okay, just quickly, we have a minute to end the show, and I'm afraid we just have to go. When you talked about returns back to your bureau, give me a sense of what that return is.
What the DPCOs do is to go to these organizations to go through their processing activities. One, to look at their privacy policy, which I mentioned, to look at if they have in-house data protection officers.
Now, I was thinking perhaps in Naira. I was thinking in terms of monetary value.
No. What they do is when they
in terms of licensing.
Yes.
Do you take money from them?
Yeah, we take money.
Oh, that's just what I wanted to know.
The license is 500,000 now.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to know.
And the ecosystem is worth 5.5 billion now. And between when we started and now, we created about 9,500 jobs. And one thing that we need to really bring out is the fact that experts in this field, there are not many in Nigeria. Data controllers and data processors, there are over 500,000. And each of them is to have their in-house data protection officers, whereas we have less than 10,000 data protection experts, leaving a job of 490,000 available. And that's why we keep creating awareness and building capacity for people. We are looking for jobs are available here. And we are already discussing with a lot of organizations to ensure proper training, certification, and for them to be employed.
Okay.
By these data controllers and data processors.
Like they say, data is the new oil. Or is it the new or is it water?
Is the oil, is the water, is life, is everything
now.
Yes.
Because you can actually speak to your television, or once your television knows you are in, it just goes on and all of that. Thank you very much, Dr. Vincent. We hope to see you again soon.
I'll be happy to come back.
All right. I've been speaking with Dr. Vincent Olatunji, who is the National Commissioner and the Chief Executive Officer at the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau. We've been talking about Nigeria data privacy and protection. I'll have him again sometime soon. 1 year of the agency. Congratulations again. And let's see what happens, at least during your tenure. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you for your company today. And this week, please join me again, same time on Monday. Of course, Monday through Fridays, I'm always here. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. I'll see you all again next time. Bye now.